Yes, now I remember I took that request by mail. Er hat doch gerade noch gesagt, dass er das nicht macht. There have been times when I took a job without having met my client. The request was for the murder of Juan Corridor and 2 or 3 other small things. Oh Gott. Ja, das kann ich doch gar nicht lesen. Ist das Kirito? Hätt's ja auch was. Japanische Namen sind das Einzige, was man selbst nach jahrelangem Japanologiestudium nicht lesen kann. Oder kann Christian da irgendwie helfen? Das zweite könnte Kirito. Kamiya. Kirio. Ah, Kirio, okay. Kamiya. Kirio, Kamiya. Aha. Na gut. The request was for the murder of Juan Corridor and 2 or 3 other small things. Was soll das denn heißen? When I saw the name at the end of the letter, I thought my client to be a man. Das sind alle anderen Wörter. So you took this job through a letter. He didn't mention anything about a letter in his earlier testimony, which means he is definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. If you break the assassin's testimony completely, it's over for us. I know, I can't make him suspicious, but I think we're okay. Like, we can do with this. As long as he's standing there across from me. No matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it. Jetzt spielt es aber auf eine bestimmte Person an. Now then, let's begin the cross-examination. Mit dem Hiragana. Oh. Okay. Heißt das, wir sollen jetzt aufpassen, wo wir pressen? So habe ich das jetzt irgendwie gerade verstanden, dass sie meinte, wir sollen nicht alles komplett auseinandernehmen. Dann, das Interessanteste wäre in dem Fall ja entweder das oder das ganz am Anfang. Das ganz am Anfang, weil das dem widerspricht, was er vorhin erst gesagt hat. Allerdings würde ich das eher als zweites versuchen wollen, weil ich nicht glaube, dass es eine gute Idee ist, ihn in der Richtung zu provozieren. Das hier sieht nicht irgendwie besonders hilfreich aus. Das ist ja nur Gefasel, das ein bisschen das hier ergänzt, das davor. Das ist gerade noch am interessantesten, weil das so unglaublich vage ist, dass da vielleicht interessante Sachen bei rauskommen könnten, wenn wir mal nach den Details fragen, was diese 2 or 3 other small things sein sollen. 2 or 3 other things? Yes. And what were these other things? A few other things that have nothing to do with this case. What should I do? Should I let him slide with that? It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way and he got mad. Ja, das habe ich mir gedacht. Das kommt bestimmt jetzt bei jeder Aussage. Egal welche ich presse, kommt wahrscheinlich immer diese Aussage, dass ich vorsichtig sein soll. Aber wie gesagt, das ist gerade die vageste Aussage, die er gemacht hat. Deswegen würde ich sagen, von der Game Logic her ist es am sinnvollsten, dass die Entwickler wollen, dass wir hier weiter reingehen. Mal gucken. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney. Oh. Jetzt habe ich gerade so groß rumgesprochen und jetzt war es wahrscheinlich doch die falsche Auswahl. Kann ich mal eben speichern? Ich habe noch gar nicht gespeichert, fällt mir gerade auf. Holy shit. Ach doch, vorhin bei dem To Be Continued wurde ja gespeichert. Puh. Mr. Attorney? Yes? Everything I have said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client. Which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you are planning to betray your own client? I smell the stench of a backstabber. And should you turn out to be one... Wait. Uh-oh. This is looking really bad. Hab ich's doch vermasselt. I shouldn't press my luck. Alright, I have to think, is this worth pursuing? Jetzt habe ich gespeichert, mich schon reingeritten. Wenn ich jetzt Let It Go wähle, und das war es allerdings doch eigentlich, dann würde ich mich auch ärgern. Wenn ich dann erst alles andere absuche und dann nochmal hier reinkomme und feststelle, dass ich doch schon auf der richtigen Fährte war. Ich habe gerade gespeichert, ich kann ja einfach neu laden, wenn es das nicht ist. Witness, this is a very important matter. Wie gesagt, mir fällt auch jetzt gar nichts anderes ein, was besonders interessant zum Pressen war. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were. If it is truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine. The bear figurine? After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing. And where was that figurine? It was inside Mr. Corridor's suitcase. And then, what did you do next? I handed it over to my client right away. You gave it to your client. Interesting.
This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just stated in your testimony.
As you wish. One of these was to find the bear figurine and to give it to Adrian Andrews. Haben wir jetzt irgendwas, was dem widerspricht? Eigentlich nicht. Dass Corrida und Andrews wissen, wie man die aufmacht, ist ja jetzt eigentlich nichts, um das als Widerspruch zu präsentieren. Das passt ja eher noch dazu. Ich presse nochmal. I found this figurine at Mr. Onguard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what was it doing there? I was waiting for her there. That was also part of the plan to frame Mr. Onguard, I'm sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems with this piece of testimony?
Ich sag jetzt einfach mal, ich gehe jetzt einfach mal den Weg immer weiter und bluffe ein bisschen rum. Ich habe ja kurz davor gespeichert. So the killer says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews, auch wenn mir gerade nichts dazu einfällt. But I know somewhere in that statement there is a contradiction. And yet, I know that if I present something trivial here, he will cut the connection on his end. If you want to make a strong point, Phoenix, you have to present strong evidence. She's right. So, now what, Dr. Wright? Nochmal speichern? Keine Ahnung, was kann ich denn da präsentieren? Oder irgendwas? Let's go over this one more time. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take the bear and wait for her at Onguard Mansion. Is that correct? Moment, mir fällt was ein. Wenn er sie ihr gegeben hat, also wenn das stimmen würde und er hätte sie Adrian gegeben, statt Matt, dann hätte Adrian die auf der Stelle aufgemacht und die Notiz rausgenommen und verbrannt. Die Notiz war aber immer noch da drin und deswegen kann er es nicht Adrian gegeben haben. Ha.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I think maybe you might have remembered a few things incorrectly.
What?
This is a battle of wits. I can't let up on him. I don't think it is possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient of this bear, because then this fucking thing would not exist. Oh? Bin ich Sherlock Holmes?
Shelley the killer.
If you had really given the bear to Miss Andrews, then this item should not have been inside it. Yeah! This item? Oh, I see where you're going. Yep, that's where I'm going.
Where is everyone going?
Do I need to pack a suitcase? Du bist ein Idiot. Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. And I was going to burn it, for her sake. Puh. Gut, dass ich mich da jetzt reingeblufft habe und mir das in der letzten Minute eingefallen ist. Aber es wirkt halt auch so, als sollte man diesen Weg nehmen. Und dann habe ich die ganze Zeit überlegt, warum könnte es sein, dass man diesen Weg nehmen sollte. Und dann ist mir plötzlich wieder eingefallen, dass sie die Notiz so verbrennen wollte. If even for a single minute, this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it immediately.
Order. So that's where you two are going.
So by the very fact that the suicide note was still inside the bear, it tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle.
Which means?
It means, Your Honor, that it is impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client.
Order.
Mr. Phoenix Wright. Uh-oh. I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think your cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement. No, that's not... That's enough. If that is your intention, then there is only one thing for me to do. Wait, please. Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to.
Hold it!
Uh-oh. No, please, not that. Please wait. Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end, and I may stain my hand otherwise.
What in the... Mr. Wright, are you... Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor.
I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there is a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough?
Well, we should... er ist, glaube ich, auch langsam am Ende seiner Ideen. Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya, she'll... the prosecution or I...
What has come over everyone? Either you or...
The prosecution... rests.
What is going on around here?
The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor.
What? Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is a most unusual situation. If the prosecution rests with no further questions, then the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that is the case, then even though I am reluctant, I must believe that Mr. DeKiller's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley DeKiller's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
If I end the trial here right now, then your client, Matt Ongard, will be declared innocent. And in his place, Adrian Andrews will be charged with murder.
Andrews will be charged with murder.
The prosecution has no further questions, so we will now hear the defense's final remarks. Bailiff, please bring the defendant, Matt Ongard, to the stand.
The items from DeKiller's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time has run out. Can't believe it. The outcome now lies in your hands.
Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly innocent and good person. You have done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. But, at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent.
Huh.
So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out. Mr. Ongard, what an atrocious law I have, giving his own client up like this. And that refreshing like a spring breeze crap, it's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer?
Should I side with justice? Or should I save Maya's life? You better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay? But if I did that, Maya will die. But if I say he's innocent, then Miss Andrews will be charged as the murderer. Do I say he's guilty or not guilty? Either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statement on this matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt Ongard, is innocent. There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer is going to say what I want, aren't you?
Right. I can't do this, but I have to decide something. I can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. My client, Matt Ongard, is... Farewell, Maya.
We are waiting for your answer, Mr. Wright. Matt Ongard, your client deserves an answer.
Maya, I'm sorry. Matt Ongard is... Oh, she. Franziska von Karma.
What are you doing?
Wow. You see now, don't you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off of that scruffy fool. Did you bring them? The final pieces, do you have them? You should know better than to ask that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. Von Karma is perfect in every way. The evidence is here in perfect condition. Don't worry about Scruffy, he's fine, and his injuries are minor. All of the items are inside this.
What a filthy old coat this is.
That's Gumshoe's. I can spot his tattered rags anywhere. I apologize for its ugliness, but there was nothing else to rub the items in. I fought long and hard this whole trial, all for what is inside this raggedy code. I'm sure that inside that code lies a crucial piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside that filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence.
Your final evidence?
Ich muss mal eben auf Toilette. Gleich zurück. Gerade wo es spannend wird.
This trial is already over. All that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe that any evidence presented now would change the outcome of this trial.
Oh komm, bitte nicht. What? Your Honor, it is our duty to examine every piece of evidence down to the last. I request that Ms. von Karma be allowed to present these pieces of evidence.
I suppose you are right, Mr. Edgeworth. I grant permission to do so. However, there's one obvious rule applies here. If these items do not bring up any new points, then they will not be accepted by this court. Now, Ms. von Karma, if you please.
These pieces of evidence are items left by the killer during his escape from the police.
He must have been in quite a rush.
Yes, Your Honor. The killer left 3 pieces of evidence. Somewhere among the evidence we're about to see, there will be something that will turn this whole situation around. Like a miracle. I'm sure of it. That is all we can hope for. The first item is a pistol. Does the killer's pistol have anything to do with this case? Question for more details? Warum nicht? Does that pistol have any relation to this case? We have yet to perform a ballistics test, so I can't say anything for certain. However, I believe it has something to do with this case. At least, with me. Das ist wahrscheinlich die, mit der sie angeschossen wurde. That's the pistol that he used to shoot you, isn't it? That's what I believe, yes. Oh. I kept the bullet that I removed from my shoulder as a sort of memento. I'm sure it will be an excellent sample for the test. So that's the pistol that was used to shoot Francisco. It's probably not going to help us very much. Aber wir haben sie trotzdem, okay. The second piece of evidence is this videotape. I bet the killer took that from Vanguard Mansion. Fragen wir einfach mal allen nach, ne? Have you checked the contents of that tape? Unfortunately, there was no time to. Ah, yeah. But I would speculate that this tape is very important.
Why would you say that?
Because he came back to his hideout for it. The killer went back for it? That's right. It looks like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 of the officers at the site. But somehow it looks like they managed to protect it from the killer. Surely the killer is no ordinary man. One of the items retrieved, the killer violently trying to recover it, contents unknown. The last piece of evidence is this bellboy's uniform. Is that a uniform from the Gatewater Hotel? Question. Was that used during the crime? I am almost certain it was. There's even a pair of black leather gloves in one of the pockets. There's no doubt about it, the killer was wearing this on the night of the murder. There's one thing I found interesting about this uniform. And what is that? There is a button missing on this uniform. A button? It's a very unique button. I'm sure if we were to recover it, it would provide us with an interesting clue. Okay. That is all I have to present, Your Honor.
It's just as I thought.
And what is that, Your Honor?
I'm sure we are under normal circumstances. These items from Shelley the Killer's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing.
It is who is the client.
Yes, that is correct. And these 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Von Karma. You may step down now.
Wait, Your Honor. Please allow me to examine this new evidence.
Overruled. This court already has all the evidence it needs to hand down a verdict.
Wonderful. Absolutely splendid. This judge is just a brilliant man, isn't he, dude?
Is this the end? Phoenix. I knew it. There's no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there? I think you're wrong. I think they do exist. But you have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far, you can't give up now. But no matter how you think about it, it's... Try, for my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of the situation for us. 2? The first. Make aRdW wish from the bottom of his soul for a guilty verdict. Huh? The killer will always place his client's wishes first. If aRdW himself wishes to be convicted, then he will let his hostage go. That may be true, but that's asking me to do the impossible. The second way, force the killer to end his contract with aRdW. If the killer were to no longer think of aRdW as his client, then he would let Maya go. Mia, that's even more impossible. He is a man who values his duty towards his client above all else. I know both of these seem like impossible feats at first, but if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. The pieces he was just shown, he's not accepting them. Phoenix, think things through from the other side. Isn't that what has always worked for us? The other side? Wait, does she mean... You mean to turn things around? Phoenix, the judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, then who does need it? The person who needs the evidence. The defense, prosecution, and the judge. We have seen all the pieces of evidence, and that is how we have come to know the truth. But there is one person who has yet to see them all, and that person does not know the truth. That truth, it may be what will bring about the miracle in the end.
There are no objections this time, correct? Now then, I will pronounce my verdict.
Why don't we all respectfully sit back and listen, kids?
Oh?
I have already told you, Mr. Wright. This court does not need any more evidence.
I'm not saying it is us that needs the evidence, Your Honor.
Then, you want to show the evidence to that person?
Yes, Your Honor. Please, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I will grant you one chance.
One chance?
Please show your evidence to who you think is the right person.
That's impossible to turn the situation around in one try.
One try, that is all I will permit.
I have to try to remember everything that has happened up to this point. Think, Phoenix.
Think.
There must be a way to save Maya while taking aRdW down at the same time.
Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show evidence to?
Ich würde gerne die Killer die Videos zeigen, denn die Videos sind doch höchstwahrscheinlich die aRdW heimlich von The Killer gemacht hat. Und wenn The Killer davon erfährt, wird er wahrscheinlich stinksauer werden.
I see. And now, tell this court what one piece of evidence you would like to show this person. Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think there is some merit in showing this evidence to that witness.
Bailiff, please bring in the transceiver from earlier.
Alright, it looks like I managed to convince him. Maya, she's okay, right? Didn't I tell you to concern yourself with bringing about a speedy end to this trial? Now, if I understand correctly, you wish to show me one piece of evidence? Yes, one is all I need. I have here a videotape. It was found at your hideout. I heard you injured 3 officers in your attempt to get this back. That was most regrettable. However, it was an order from my client. I was told to protect that videotape. I thought so. Der weiß also gar nicht, was drauf ist. I'm afraid I seem to have failed in that regard. Do you know the contents of this tape? I was sternly told by my client to not watch it. Natürlich. So I have absolutely no idea. Actually, you are on this tape. Me. There was a video camera hidden at the crime scene. Your actions were being recorded.
What? Is that true, Mr. Wright?
Who was it that planted a camera? Well, the only person who could have placed a camera at the scene of the crime would be your client, naturally.
That was Adrian Andrews.
Be quiet and listen, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Your client specified a place and time for you, isn't that right? Yes. That was so they could film you. I had no idea. Mr. Wright, why would my client do such a thing? I would like to know why. Why did Matt Ongard film the crime scene? The reason why he did that is my ticket out of this whole mess. And there's only one reason why your client would secretly film the crime scene. They wanted blackmail on you. Your client once told me something very interesting. We were talking about you, and this is what they said.
But I'm no weakling. I don't believe anyone, least of all assassins. Oh, come on, Mr. Wright. Assassins aren't above blackmail. Yes, that's where the video comes in. With that, I can keep him at bay and even blackmail him if I want.
Your client didn't trust you at all. They were thinking of using this video to blackmail you. What do you have to say to that, Shelley the Killer? Oh. It looks like I was being deceived from the very beginning. Yes, by a natural, that is the kind of person they are. Your client is a person who only thinks and plots on how to use the people around them to protect themselves from any and all dangers that may arise. That is the true nature of your client. I have one question for the witness. Yes. You told us one thing numerous times during your testimony. You said that you detest traitors most of all. Yes, that's right. But what if that traitor was your own client? What would you do then? That is obvious. I would break our contract in that case. And then, that client would become my next target. For the honor of the killer name, even if it takes an eternity, I would follow that person to the ends of the earth to exact my punishment. Oh shit. I see. Well, that's all I wanted to know. So the traitor becomes the killer's next target. I get it. This is how we turn this case around. Mr. Wright. Yes. My contract with my client is over as of now. I seem to have a new job on my hands. I will now return to you your precious item. What the? I'm not an item. Maya, I thought I'd never see you again. Oh, thank goodness.